Hello, welcome to Executive Dashboards video series from DoSQLBI.com. In this part, we are looking at Power View technology, what kind of dashboards and capabilities are possible with that. This series is about where we will cover Power View dashboards, we'll see performance point services dashboards, we'll see SSRS related dashboards. In the previous video, we had seen the business scenario use case, and in this one, we will go over a pre-built solution, that is the dashboard that has been developed using Power View. Let me switch to the demo window. We will be covering in the next video what are various deployment options. In this video, the walkthrough that we will provide, we are seeing this report within an Excel workbook. Excel 2013 came up with the support for building and seeing the Power View reports. What you see on the screen right now is the timesheet entries, which are per project, per week. Excel allows you to connect to the SharePoint list and pull that data. So this is our raw data that has been consumed to build all the reports that I am going to walk you through. You see there are multiple other tabs down below here. You see the weekly billing, project, manager, week of, billing type. This all information has been created from this main data sheet. The project has a list of projects, manager would have a list of managers, and so on. So data from weekly billing until this practice has been extracted from this Excel sheet. I'm not going to cover here the details how we do that. That is focus of our last session, which is development oriented detail. And then I want to speak about this another sheet, which is Data Explorer. What you see here is a list of countries and what is the government regulation for the minimum number of holidays. So you have, say, Argentina, where it is 14 calendar days. Then there are certain rules, that describe this. How I got this data was to use the Microsoft Data Explorer. I don't want to get into details how to use that. That's again part of our last session, which are developer oriented details. A very simple to use tool. I was able to get this external data that lists the name of the country and what kind of holiday regulations that country has. And what we are going to do with this data is the timesheet data that we have in our use case, we will at some point of time try to integrate our timesheet data with this information, just to kind of give you a feel that externally available data can be consumed to build some further insight into our data. This is just to give a feel of that. There can be a better kind of cases what external data would make more sense. For example, if it is a market data, customer analysis data, there is a huge variety of data that's available, and different businesses would have a different needs. So the idea here is just to give that feel about integrating the externally available data. Based on the scenario that we had all the employees from a single country. So anything like this would not have been directly making much sense. I have a list of countries and their regulations. From this data, I did little reshaping of the data and created something like this, which I call as time off group. Up to 1 week, which are the countries where the government regulation says at least 1 week got to be the holiday for an employee. So that is Taiwan, USA, China, Philippines. Similarly, up to 2 weeks, I have a list of countries, up to 3 weeks, up to 4 weeks, up to 5 weeks, and then the last one is above 5 weeks. Now, because our data was related to just one country, what I thought of showing is whose leave trend, paid, unpaid, both together, which employee falls into which category. Suppose I have an employee who has taken a leave so far up to 1 week, so he falls into a category of countries which is Taiwan, USA, China, Philippines. Accordingly, an employee who might have taken leaves up to 3 weeks falls into a category which is a list of these countries. There was not much case how to consume this data in this shape. I reshaped this data. Now how that is done, and that's again a developer related details, but this is the data we'll be consuming in some of our reports. So that sums up what the data is. If I go back, this is the data that was pulled from the SharePoint list, and from this raw data we are then building this certain lists like weekly billing, which is just nothing but a list of dates, list of projects, list of project managers, and then billing type, whether it is billable, non-billable, employee list, and status list, and practice list. If you see this raw data, suppose if I have to just see whether the employee has filled minimum expected 40 hours, I'll have to go to multiple rows, and then potentially an employee can work on more than one project in a week. So I have to go and do that calculation manually. If I want to know who are the employees that have not filled up their time, it becomes very tedious with this sort of a raw data. It's not that SharePoint cannot do that, but I'm just saying this was the raw data that was captured. We had certain requirements that what sort of reports are required. So let's jump into reports that have been built, because the focus of this video is to provide a walkthrough of those Power View reports. I'll start with the first one. What you see in this report is it's a forecasting report. Data mining has been used for this. The blue line is the billing total, and this orange is non-billing total. And when this report was generated, we had data up to the month of March. And then you see beyond March, it shows these dotted lines, which is basically showing based on the previous 1 year's trend, how it looks like the trend would be for whatever number of periods we have selected. So in this case, it's up to a month of June. These kind of reports are possible. Let's move to the next one. This report, which is a summary by practice, it just shows me, okay, I have filters here which are year. You see certain things are in a grayed out color and certain are highlighted. So in the year we have chosen 2013. In the months we have chosen M3 as a month, and then I get certain report here across the practices. Let's say it tells me in 2013 month 3, the central practice has logged these many hours, east this much, internal this much, and combined where it's kind of across all the other 3 these many hours. In total there are these hours that have been logged in 2003 month of March. It also tells me that the total hours worked has been 20,959, and out of that the weekend hours logged were 193. It gives me a nice little pie chart here where I'm just seeing it tells me that the majority of the billing has happened on the central projects, then followed with east and internal. And it gives I have a bar chart on the right side. It tells me between billable and non-billable. It's a very interactive report. Say I can click on this billable bar, and rest of the numbers would get filtered accordingly. Everything got filtered, the total got updated, the total here, the weekend got updated, and this pie chart got updated. It's just showing like it just grayed out things. It's just saying that in the billable hours, the major contribution is of the central practice, followed by east, and then the last is internal. It's very interesting as well. It tells you that if there are any data issues, because internal projects are not supposed to be the billable projects. So I see here that internal shows me 220, which gives an indication that there is some erroneous data into the system. The entries for internal projects have been marked as billable, whereas they should be non-billable. So I'm able to quickly, by looking at this simple report, figure that out. I can go and click the non-billable, and then you see it's just showing the majority of the non-billable is internal, and it also shows that we have done a substantial amount of work non-billable even in the east practice. So you can just slice and dice. This is all about month 3. Suppose I want to see for all 2013 what has been that practice. So all that I did is I just clicked this little clear filter icon here, and now you see all the months are now in the highlighted format. Accordingly the numbers get updated. I can also remove the filter from the year. It just tells me the all historical, how much billing has been done, the entire the data that was available out there, and then how much is billable, how much is non-billable. You might be thinking this, why is this combiner looking so much? Until recently there was no practices defined as data entry when you would log a timesheet. It was started recently, that's why before that the bulk of it is combined. So if I just want to see 2013, I clicked on that and I'm seeing all across 2013 from January to April. So this is one of the report. We consumed the same raw data of SharePoint list and produced this very informative report. And we are seeing this right now in an Excel workbook, which is Excel 2013. We'll come into the next session where we say that where all this can be deployed. So to view this report right now, we don't need anything except for Excel 2013. Let's go to the next report. One of the need was to spot the defaulters. On the day when this report was refreshed, it shows me that timesheet defaulters are 127 and the minimum expected was 40. Most likely it was the Friday, and it gives me the name of all of those whose timesheet is less than 40 hours to say. These names have been masked for the privacy purposes. This was one of the requirement to show the timesheet defaulters list. Let's go to the next one. Now this is another interesting. This is overdue approvals by project and the active managers. The timesheet has been submitted, but it's not yet approved by the managers. I get an information that this particular manager has 55 approvals pending, and the next one 44, then 30, and so on and so forth. I can just scroll down. There are little things available. I can just change the sorting order by clicking on this. Say now I have it in the increasing order. I click it back, it comes now in the decreasing order. So I see on the top the manager who has most approvals pending. Overdue approvals are in total 140. I also have the breakup below that shows me across the projects which project has most approvals pending. It looks like the holiday related timesheets are mostly pending, they have not been approved. This is another way of looking at that data. That was a raw SharePoint list data. It's not that as if like Power View reports can just consume the SharePoint list data. I mean that was just the use case that was that we use it in our scenario. Otherwise it supports a variety type of data sources. In our use case we had SharePoint list to be used. Let's carry on, see some more reports. I have this other small little report here where the need was to see overtime this week. Who are the folks that have done overtime? And on the day when this data was refreshed, there was no one with the overtime, so you don't have any data here. Going to the next one. This is interesting. This is current year time off. We want to see by employee who has been how much taking time off. In this report you see we have a list of employees. We show their time of hours with this horizontal bar with a number at the end. So the first employee who has taken 88 hours, and then 84, 80, and so on. We are showing this in the decreasing order of the number of hours taken. We have a trend that how is our time off trend. It's across all the employees right from March of 2012 to March of 2013. Say if I just click this particular employee and I want to see what has been this employee's time off trend. So you see this trend where there has been more time offs and less time offs. I can multi-select the employee, say I select two of them, and then want to see the combined trend of the first and the second when they have been taking more time off. So looks like in this part of the world it is mostly around April and May, and understandably so, because that is the summer holiday time. Schools are off, people would like to take their families on some vacation related travel. Gives you a lot of useful information. I want to deselect this. I want to again see it across all the employees. Remember earlier we just integrated this data that in which category do they fall. Suppose I want to see who are the employees who have taken up to 1 week. So I clicked this, it gave me the list of employees, it filtered them on its own and showed me that this is the list. Where do they match globally is with the countries like Taiwan, USA, China and Philippines. Just a little interesting thing, that which countries do I match in terms of my holiday and time of trend. I can go to this second week, up to 2 weeks, folks who have taken up to 2 weeks. This is their trend. Scroll little down to give you the name of these countries. Let's say up to 5 weeks. Okay, there's no one. Let us see up to 4 weeks. No one up to 4 weeks. What about 3 weeks? Okay, a couple of them with up to 3 weeks. I'm again removing these filters and getting back this time of trends. So this data, what you see here, was something that was pulled from the external source, publicly available data sources, and we massaged it and then integrated it with our timesheet data to get some little insight. There are very interesting scenarios that one can build. For example, if it's a sales organization, you pull the weather related data and then integrate it with your sales data to see that how is climatic conditions, the weather trends, how is that affecting your sales. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is the billing summary by projects. We want to see how various projects are doing. So at a glance of it, I see this particular project is the top billing project. So if I want to say, okay, fine, let's just see only from the billability point of view, only consider the billable hours. Again, this project seems to be on the top, and then it shows me all the decreasing order. Again, like the previous ones. So in terms of billable, I see the which are the least contributing to the billing. We can just slice and dice. I can just see across so far what has happened. I can deselect this. I can see both billable and non-billable. So this is the overall trend. A very interesting summary based on the project billing. And just keep in mind that all these reports have been built from that raw data of SharePoint list, and then it was massaged. All the necessary logic was written in the Power View reports, which at the back makes use of Power Pivot. This is the last one that I wanted to show. What you see on this report is billable and non-billable trends. So on the screen, I see it from February of 2012 to April of 2013. And then I see these totals here, total hours, time off. On the right hand side, I see the list of managers. So this is the list of managers, and on this other bottom left is the resource names, and this is telling me that this person, this all data is, the names and everything is masked, but the data is real. This manager has been doing most of the billing. So if I click on just this manager, it is showing me the projects that were run by this manager, what has been the billing trend, the billable hours, blue line, and non-billable hours. It's also showing me the employees, the resources that have worked with the projects run by this manager. You see, certain things are grayed out, means they have not worked on the projects run by this manager. And so who are the employees? these are the employees that have worked with him. I can just click on another manager. It shows me who are the employees and then how much time have they spent on the projects with this particular manager. I can do it the other way around. I can just select the name of the employee, and then it tells me that this employee has worked these many hours, 908 hours with this manager, and these hours with another manager, these 48 hours with another manager. Rest is grayed out. So this very kind of interesting information. You can see that okay, a particular employee and then particular project, how much has been the trends. Very powerful slicing and dicing of data. Let me remove these filters. This was the last one in our example. So the objective of this video was to give you a walkthrough of the solution, give you a walkthrough of the executive dashboard that has been built using Power View. In the previous one, we first referred to the business use case, and in this one, we showed that what are various types of reports that have been built using that data, and the technology used was Power View reports. Let me switch back to the presentation. The next one that we are going to see in this series under Power View, what are the deployment options? In this video, we saw these reports with an Excel workbook. We just needed to open an Excel and start looking at those reports. Just one thing that needs to mention is that there are features and options available to keep on refreshing the data. I can refresh the data, means I can pull the on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, whatever the need would be, pull that additional data and my reports would get refreshed. Those processes can be automated, all that is possible. In the next video, we are going to see what are the deployment options, where all it can be deployed. Excel workbook was the one we saw, but there are many other options that are possible. I'm Nasir Ali Mirza at DoSQLBI.com. Thanks.